Pod.
Rugby pod.
Hello and welcome back for our Christmas rugby pod. It's not a special, it's a normal pod, but we're finishing things off with a bang. Round 2 of the Champions Cup is in the bag, and my Glasgow boys, I'm in Glasgow recording, my Glasgow boys did the unthinkable from 21-0 down with a massive comeback against the Galacticos of Toulouse, who clearly don't like the rain and the wind.
They also don't like the 4G pitch either, let's be honest. And their leggings are out everywhere. Jim, I can't believe you're such a turncoat. You're now Glasgow till you die.
I'm
after
Scottish.
being Edinburgh team. Well, it's because Edinburgh got hosed, but don't worry about that. We'll talk about that a bit later. It's a great result for the Glasgow boys. We'll also be looking back at a tremendous 2025 as a whole and pick out some of the highlights of the year, James, and our friend Daniel.
Got a decent guest on today, lads, as well, haven't we? Freddie Steward dials in, catch up on all things England, Leicester, Tigers, and being king of the airways under the high ball.
Settle back, lads. Let's enjoy it. It's the last one. Let's enjoy it. Make sure you're subscribed on Spotify if you haven't done, and Merry Christmas to every single one of you.
Just a quick one, Buzz. Have you had any, like the Fozcast sort of collab went down really well, I think, didn't it? Loads of people said to me how cool it was and how they were sort of excited for part 2 and things. So I think that went down quite well.
Yeah, loved it. And I've had loads of messages. About 10. So that's loads to me, not millions. I've had a few messages about it. I listened to it back, and my views on collaboration with other sports. I just thought it was, in reflection, I thought it was really cool how a footballer who has been so successful on the pitch, but off the pitch from a podcast perspective, he's close with he played at Wrexham, but the whole stuff around the documentary around Wrexham, and his podcast is one of the most listened to in the UK as well. To have that collaboration and it feel really authentic, and it was authentic when we did it, and it came across like that, I was pumped to listen to it back.
The only problem with it, lads, and I'll say this now, and we can say it, we said it to those, there wasn't enough time, was there?
Yeah.
We could have gone on for hours. We could do 3, 4, 5, 6 more episodes with them and still probably not have enough time just to chew the fat around football, rugby, the differences, what we've been through, what he's been through. Look, there's so much more we can get into, but it was good fun. And hopefully we'll do more.
Round 2 of the Champions Cup in the books. Shall we start with the result of the weekend? I think it's clear, isn't it?
Bristol against Poe.
Yeah, there was a few games.
What a shame. Let's start with that, Andrew. You're across all of them. Let's be honest. Can I start with a bit of negative or not?
Oh, here we go.
God.
Go on.
Andrew, you would never be saying that if you weren't commentating on the games. You would have been straight out the blocks with it. Some of the games were absolutely Papa Nui.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I mean,
Hang on, no. Got what?
Well, I was going to say it's not that they were Papa Nui. It's the teams that are selected, and that's some of the teams are targeting home victories. Some of the teams. I did the Bayonne game against Quins on Sunday from Quins. And Bayonne have sent 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, kids that are playing their first professional game. They lost at home last week, obviously, to the Stormers in round 1. But then you look across it, loads of teams are having to rotate the travel. Saracens sent half the Shags over to Durban to play the Sharks, didn't they? You look across it everywhere, and every team bar the big teams. So take out Northampton, take out Bordeaux, take out Toulouse because they went fully loaded. A lot of the top teams, and it's a 2-tier competition at the minute, isn't it? With teams that are fully loading there, the Bordeaux's, the Northamptons, Bristol have gone fully loaded twice, Stormers have gone fully loaded, and they're 2 from 2. And then the other clubs, and a lot of them, are picking and choosing the games to send their full team. And it's basically off the back of a Lions tour where they're having to integrate players in. They've had the Autumn Nations, and do you know what it goes back to? Globalising the season.
Globalisation.
It does. It goes back to that and streamlining competitions, the Northern Hemisphere, the Southern Hemisphere, and getting that in order, because how hard is it for the coaches now? And I saw some of the coaches at Leicester at the weekend, they've got injuries. Sale were actually outstanding. They've got a shitload of injuries, but they go over to Claremont, who picked the Shags at home. And it is a bit of a mess at times, but we all know this competition builds to the knockout stages, and it's coaches and DORs are now trying to pick their games out by resting players, playing the kids, picking the big dogs for certain games to get to a knockout stage. And that's how the competition is at the minute, unfortunately, for some teams.
Anyway, who started this negative conversation?
You, James. Let's get on to positivity.
In answer to Rob's first question, that game for Glasgow against Toulouse, who came fully loaded. Good. Glasgow to be 21 points down. And the weather was awful. And we can talk about it was a game of two halves, which it clearly was. 21 unanswered points in that first half for Glasgow to come back and do what they did. And I use this term a lot. It was like a team run in that second half. And I say that respectfully around Glasgow's plays and how they played and how physical they were and the gain line and the subs that came on for them, the likes of Gregor Brown and George Horn, who were phenomenal. Dobby moving to the wing and putting the tackle that he put in on Ange Kopawatsu. But Glasgow are a good team, and we mentioned it last week where the line in the sand, almost like that kind of bump in the road, which all great teams have. I say great teams, I wouldn't be calling them a great team unless they beat Toulouse at the weekend like they did. But what all great teams have is that kind of one moment in a season or within a game within two seasons where it's almost like a humbler. And Glasgow had that, albeit with changes against Scarlets, where they got beat 23-0 a few weeks ago. And ever since then, there's been this refocus. And someone asked me in the street, but Glasgow's so much better than Edinburgh. And for me, it's simple-ish in a way. I was like, they have a world-class player in Sione Tuipulotu, and they also have very good international class players, more than Edinburgh. And they know what it's like to win. They won the URC down in South Africa, the way that they did it. And they've got some tough buggers over there. They're playing hard conditions on that pitch. I know that Edinburgh play in that pitch, but this is all about Glasgow. It's a tough place to play. And I suppose the one thing you would say, and again, this comes down to Scottish mentality, is you are fully locked in, aren't you, if you're Glasgow, you're about to play Toulouse. And you look at their team, DuPont and Tamac, like they've gone full noise against them. And you're Edinburgh, you've beaten Toulon. You're looking at, there's a few changes, a lot of the coaches taking this seriously, and you're off to Castres. Very different, and that just shows the mentality. But this is all about Glasgow. I thought they were incredible, especially in the second half, obviously, to score 28 points, being 21-0 down.
The tackle by Jamie Dobie on Ange Kopawatsu just before half-time, the last play of the first half, wasn't it? If you go in 28-0 down or 26-0 down, I don't reckon they come back from it. But the fact that was a massive momentum shift, he's binned him into touch. Franco Smith has done a hell of a job. And I tell you what, I spoke to so many people over the weekend at different games around that performance by Glasgow and putting it down to Franco Smith and the issues that Scotland rugby have seen nationally with a second half capitulation and everything like that. Everyone's just like, how did Glasgow, with those similar Scottish international players that Gregor Townsend gets, not perform like that sometimes in a second half in a Scotland jersey? So Franco Smith's done a wonderful job. Gregor Brown, the big ginge coming off the bench. Oh my carries. How good was he, Jim?
Yeah, he was amazing. And we spoke about him after the game in the Autumn Nation Series against New Zealand, of how good he was. They've got a hard undercurrent, and that is the difference between the west side and the east side of Scotland. They've got a hard-nosed coach in Franco Smith and all the things I've just mentioned there. That's not a fluke. I don't think you fluke a performance like that. The weather conditions were awful, and it was difficult for Glasgow in the first half, clearly. With the kicking game, they couldn't get out of their half. And then that second half with the wind on their back and the momentum went with them, and you saw just how good they are at the line with the attacking shapes they're throwing on it.
There was nothing really in the game, was there, in terms of like, you both just mentioned it now, that was a big moment just on half-time. But effectively, like, Toulouse could have easily have scored that as well, had it not been for a brilliant tackle. They'd have gone 28-0. So, like, the wind and the rain had so much of an effect on the match that you were always going to be, whoever was playing against it, it was that strong and that tough that you were going to be up against it, weren't you? In terms of, you couldn't really kick out of it. It was just so difficult. You were under so much pressure. And normally, if a team has got as many entries as both teams had, you'd think that they're going to score some points. But it was fair play. That was a fully loaded Toulouse team as well, and who came to play, didn't they? In terms of, that wasn't just a French team away from home. That was fully loaded. Fair play to Glasgow.
How good is that Gorgeous Calvin?
Galvin Gorgeous. Is that how you say his name?
Should we just call him Gorgeous Calvin?
Gorgeous Calvin. Yeah, let's go for that.
Mate, a hell of a player. And Toulouse produce all these youngsters, don't they, through their academy system. Hugo Moller, the head coach, he coached me at Brive back in the day, and he's just gone and taken Toulouse. Do you remember a few years ago when I say a few years ago, it was probably 7 or 8 years ago now, where he just got rid of all the old guard at Toulouse. They finished 12th or something in the top 14. And then he's pushed all these younger lads who are now bona fide, French international, proper top tier players. And he just builds every year. There's kids coming through, ridiculous talents that obviously it's a religion in Toulouse, isn't it? To play for Toulouse. The rugby is mega. And every kid in Toulouse wants to be an Ontamaka, a Dupont, Miafu, Jack Willis, whoever. It's the heart and soul of the town. And he's a great player, skillful, powerful, quick as anything, just burst on the scene. But ultimately, we shouldn't really be talking about him, because we should be talking more about how good Glasgow were, and they're 2 from 2, and that it was a phenomenal performance. But there's always going to be talent coming out of the Toulouse Academy, and he's just the next on the production line, I think. He's brilliant.
It was a big result for Glasgow, because they've got to go to Clermont, and I know Clermont are 0 from 2, and you never know. French team away from home and things like that in terms of Glasgow having to go there and then play Saracens to finish. So, had they not got a result against Toulouse on Saturday night, it may well have been looking at a couple of tough rounds in January. But now all of a sudden the confidence is up. They think, right, well, we can go to Clermont and get a result, and then see where we're at in against Saracens on the last day. So I think that like this second round will probably decide. I mean, the first round decided on what a few of the French teams did and South African teams, but I think it'll decide even more now. You probably want to be playing a Clermont or a Pau or a Bayonne in round 3, don't you? And you probably think you can cash in and really push that advantage home then.
Well, you said it was the last episode of the year, Jim, but it's not quite the last episode, is it? It's the last regular episode of the year.
Oh, the last regular episode with the boys, but I've got some, not that you're not the boys, but I've got some boys that are still doing it in the studio on Thursday. The great Sione Tuipulotu, after that victory against Toulouse, an incredible performance. We're trying to get Darcy Graham over. He didn't play against Casto, did he? So it ain't his fault.
He might still be keen.
I've got them both in the studio Wednesday. When's it out, Rob?
Thursday morning, 6 a.m.
There we go. Look at us, just Thursday episodes dropping.
I'll have a listen from the sunbed in Dubai, Jim, on Thursday morning.
There you go. Andrew, I don't know how you made it.
How I made what, James? I
to
did.
Leicester. How you made it to Leicester on Friday night is beyond me. But you were there, and I watched I basically watched you at the start to make sure that you were on 2 feet, and you were great. And so were Leicester, to be fair. How hard is it saying Leicester and Leinster when you're on there the whole time going back and forth? A few people do struggle with it, not me. I'm an expert.
Yeah, especially when you've had no sleep the night before as well. Getting up there the traffic was awful. I had about 14 coffees in the day to stay awake, but I was excited
Just
by
what
it.
you
It was
need.
proper Leicester, Champions Cup ding dong. There's history between the two clubs. Leinster probably are underperforming, to be fair, at the start of the season. They beat Quins the week before, and it was a good performance, but not a sparkling performance. And Leicester fancied their chances. Speaking to some of the lads before the game, speaking to some of the coaches, they were like, this is going to be tough for Leinster. And the conditions suited Leicester, playing without the ball a bit more. We know the Leinster game is all possession and shape and attacking options. And that, they'd put Prendergast on the bench and picked Harry Byrne. But Leicester defended really well in that first half. They went with a massive chop tackle focus, which I think is a blueprint for teams playing against Leinster now, because we know how they latch on and they get through the contact, and then post-contact meters are normally huge. That's where they get their momentum from, the quick ball that Jamison Gibson Park gets, and that's where they really get into their flow. And Leicester stopped all that in the first half and defended like I have never seen a Leicester team defend for quite a few years in a mega game. And then they got a couple of brilliant tries. Radwan, oh my wheels, with a hack through, bouncing it off his knee, his shin, the back heel, whatever it was. And then Hassel Collins does the same on the other wing at the end of the first half. And the place was absolutely bouncing, but you've got to give it credit to Leinster. They go back to tight. They bring on Dan Sheehan, their power game. They bring on Slimani at tight head prop because they lost Tyg Furlong to illness just before the game. And, the Leinster power machine, Jameson Gibson Park, ends up getting man of the match with his try and just his performance overall. And Leicester put in a really big performance. They were missing a few key players still, but if you're a Leicester fan, you're looking at that as they deserve something. But again, Leinster just too strong in the end, and Caelan Doris led the troops pretty well. Do
you think Leinster can win it this year? From what you've seen so far in the opening couple of rounds, are they in the same breath as your Bordeaux, Toulouse?
I think they can win it, but we say that about them every year. What I will say about them at the minute is where they've flown into competitions before, and they're still unbeaten, right? They're still played 2-1-2. But where they've flown through the group stages and not really massively been tested previously, that's hampered them when you get to a semi-final or a final. Has it hampered them? I don't know, but we're talking about the finest of margins. They're not in full flow at the minute. All their players are coming off the back of a Lions tour and the Autumn Nation series. But I spoke to Leo, and Leo was like, this year's about time in our run to get to the back end of the season. Whereas you think of Leinster in the URC and in the Champions Cup previously, they go unbeaten for ages, don't they?
Which hasn't worked for them.
No, it hasn't. And we are still only talking about the finest of margins, right? So against Northampton in the semi-final last year, they had an opportunity to take it to extra time with a penalty that they didn't take because they went for the win, didn't score the try, they lose the semi-final. So it's these really minuscule moments that have cost them. Same in the two finals previously. A drop goal that was missed by Frawley, I think, by half an inch in the final against Toulouse would have won them it. And then they go on and lose in extra time. Same the 2 years previously to that. They lose right at the death against La Rochelle in two finals. So it's not doom and gloom, but they're not as fluid and as slick as we've seen them at this stage of the season. But I don't think that's a bad thing for them to keep their mind sharp and understand that, time their run to the end of the season is what's key, I think.
Out of all the teams that I've seen so far this year, no one really has put their hand up. I'm going to throw a few or maybe one outlier out there. I think the Stormers might do something. Yeah,
they're unbeaten in the Champions Cup. Pretty sure they're unbeaten in the URC as well. And they're having a hell of a start to the season. The quality of player they've got, when you look at Reinach and Sasha Feinberg, Mazulu, Evan Roos played really well at the weekend. They are a proper outfit. And it's great to see a South African team firing in this competition. They are contenders, but the best team for me at the minute is Bordeaux.
Bordeaux, true. I do wonder whether if a South African team win it, and it'd be interesting to see if they're in the final, going to Bilbao, whether or not they'll go over to Spain, but there's a big expat community of South Africans littered across the world, especially in the UK, whether that just changes something. And I look at the Stormers and I'm looking at other teams, and for me, they're the ones standing out. Because of the two players that you mentioned at the start, Evan Roos, but Cobus Reinach and Sasha Feinberg and Gunzulu, 9 and 10.
And you look at their next two fixtures in reality. So they've got Quins away, which the way Quins are, discount their massive win against Bayonne under 14s at the weekend. But that's a very winnable game for the Stormers. And then they've got Leicester at home back in Cape Town in round 4. So they could be 4 from 4, right? And they could be number 1 seeds, which gives them the pathway, home last 16, home quarter final, home in-country semi-final as well, dependent on how it all pans out. So there's a big opportunity for them, and they've put themselves in that position by winning away last week at Bayonne, and then backing it up with a big victory over La Rochelle under 14s as well at the weekend.
And you see where I'm going this with the French-South African rivalry. I don't know how it will marry up working out the Da Vinci Code, but Anton Dupont, if they can get Toulouse down to Cape Town, or they get a Bordeaux, or they get one of these big French teams, that's where you maybe start to feel there's a bit more momentum behind it.
I also think you make a really good point, Goode. They have to be top seeds, these South African teams, otherwise they will throw the towel in, as we've seen. They're going to come a quarter final last year in Northampton, was it, or the year before, whatever it was. And they if they're to be serious in this competition, they have to be playing at home, don't they? And asking others to come up with the travel arrangements and 2 days traveling and bits and pieces like that. And I was sort of thinking about it the other day. I was watching the games on the weekend, and probably, like you said, barring the Stormers, you just thought like it just looked as if it was just a match to get through, which shouldn't be what it's like in the Champions Cup. But they haven't got the history in it, have they? And they haven't got the pedigree in it and things. And I think, Jim, you're right that it probably needs a South African team to do something really special in it to capture it, to get the full buy-in of maybe other teams and think, okay, well, the Bulls see the Stormers get into a final or winning it or whatever and think, well, do you know what? We'll have some of that as well. We want to go on that run. And so it just probably needs a little bit of success breeds success as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, they don't understand the traditions around it, do they? And that I'm saying that factually. They don't. They clearly don't buy into the traditions and the history of the competition. And why would they? And why should they if they've kind of fallen into it, really? And hopefully with the backing of Investec and like we've just mentioned there, the more I talk about it and the more that we speak about it, I'd actually really like to see a South African team do well in it. Because I think that will just trigger, and we know how good the players are and how well supported and the narrative and the stories and everything will get off the back of it.
Well, we're now joined by Leicester Tigers and England fullback. He drives a lovely car. He parked next to me at Mattioli Woods, Welford Road on Friday night. The great Freddie Steward joins us. How are you, pal?
Hello. I can see me. Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Freddie, right, before we get into it as well, Tegs, you had them whitened, they're looking white, or is that just me because I'm on so yellow?
Oh,
they're looking great.
Jim.
Is that any change or not?
Not really, no. I used to have a big old gap in between the middle two, so I had braces about 2 years ago. But
okay.
No, I've been brushing my teeth, mate. That's all I can say on that.
There we go. Well, I'm going to start doing that as well. But yeah, Freddie, it's great to have you on, bro.
No, thanks for having me, lads.
Fred, is it true that you spent all your money on your teeth and your car? The boys reckon trying to get a coffee out of you is absolute murder.
I mean, you boys have got all the inside scoop.
Yeah, there's a couple of Welsh boys in Leicester now. See, you've got to worry about where the info's coming from now.
They call me tight. I feel like I'm generous. I get the coffees in here and there.
That's not what I'm hearing back. Yeah.
So my reputation doesn't sound too good.
Your reputation's been taking a hiding from the Welsh boys, but
that'll be Tommy Raphael, won't it? Yeah.
No comment. You got a little Welsh village up there now, haven't you? With Crackers and Nicky and Tommy up there.
How do the Welsh live, Freddie? Give us some insight into what a Welsh community in England would look like and feel like.
Oh, God. When you say Welsh, it reminds me of like Lord of the Rings. Like, they're just like, I don't know what it's like something like Hobbiton. They just live and they just simple creatures. I'll probably get in trouble for saying that. But
so they just exist, you mean? So the culture is it's get through life as quickly as possible.
Sounds about right. But they're good crack, mate. I love spending my time with Welsh lads. If you want to laugh, you go and have a coffee with Rafs or Nick or Crackers. They're a good group of lads.
I'm thinking of Leicester because you're obviously there, Freddie. I do miss Leicester. The banter is harsh there and it's Middle England. But let's get straight to a bit of rugby. This tackle on Friday, everyone's talking about it. Just give us some insight into that.
Obviously, they kicked it across. You can see I got as low as I possibly could. But, I mean, the way the laws are now, immediately after I was thinking I could have been in a bit of trouble. You probably saw me on the big screen sweating a little bit, thinking, right, that's me out for a couple of weeks. But I'm glad the ref made the decision that he did. I think there were a lot of the context of it. He slipped. I was as low as I could be. And I think it was just a rugby incident. I spoke to Jack after the game and said sorry. Because obviously he had to go off with an HIA, but he was class about it. Just said, "Don't worry, mate. One of those things. I'm no stress." So, yeah, got that all cleared up.
Because the thing is, Freddie, now just on this, right? When you are players, and we see it, right, and it's human instincts. Is if you take a headshot, it's my head, because you're in this moment of heightened competition, and we're seeing more of this now. The captains and the players, and you can hear the ref might getting in. It is gamesmanship, isn't it? Because in that moment, they want you to go off, right? Because they want to be bombing balls on you and causing you to, wanting you to go off the pitch effectively because you're one of Leicester's best players. But how is that gamesmanship now between you young men?
Yeah, I don't know if it's an Irish thing, mate. I'll probably get in trouble for saying that as well.
You just said it. You just said it. We'll take it.
No, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? Because in games like that, every team's looking for an advantage and, had it been the other way around, I'm sure our captain probably would have been in the ref's ear saying something similar. So I can't, criticise really, but it's just part of the game, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I saw straight away that Galen was in the ref's ear, and I assumed it was something along the lines of he needs to go. But just glad that the right decision was made in the end.
Well, mate, I can tell you were sniffing the grass in the tackle, so you were that low, your nose was on the floor. And I said it on comms, I'm like, it's a rugby incident. Then Caelan Doris does go over and tries to get you binned. And I just said on comms, Caelan, you're better than that. You're better than that, because you could clearly see it as a rugby incident. But there was a bit of ag in the game as well, wasn't there? James Lowe and Adam Radwan, those two were going at each other a little bit, and there was a bit of pushing and shoving. I saw you go and stick up for Radwan because he didn't know what was going on after he took James Lowe out. Bit of good niggle in the game as well.
Yeah, I think it was always going to be like, it's a big fixture, isn't it? You know, when Leicester come to Welford Road, and me and James have had a fair few run-ins over the years. It seems to be an ongoing theme, but there's a few bits of that. But as players, you know, we love that stuff, and hopefully for fans, it gives you that extra bit of bite that the game should be about. There are a few scuffles and a few bits here and there, but it's the way that the game should be played. So good to see it's still alive and kicking. With
James Lowe, is he the king of shit talkers? When I watch him do it, it seems like he is.
Yeah, there's a little bit of shit-hazzy there. I mean, I'm not sure how it started. It was something with Rabbers, wasn't it? But I think even before the game, we said if anything starts, we want everyone in. So it was. It's the long way from the backfield, mate, but I get there as quick as I can. And I made a beeline straight into the middle. But I mean, you can't do anything nowadays. I mean, we look like a bunch of idiots because there's a lot of tugging around. But it's gone are the days where, well, I wasn't around then, but there's none of that now.
Jim will send you a good clip of him having a good scrap on the pitch later, Fred. Don't know, he's seen it. He's seen it. Yeah, he's seen it.
Right,
grew up on it. What does it mean to be a Leicester Tiger?
As a young Leicester player, it's the first thing you're shown in the academy. All the boys scrapping. That's realised.
Freddie, from your perspective, obviously you burst onto the scene in the England jersey, had the fullback shirt for quite a few years. Then you got dropped, got picked again, got dropped. You've gone back to Leicester, worked on your game a lot, and the transition from being in and out the squad to then getting the 15 jersey back, especially over in Argentina when you played so well in the summer. How hard was that mentally to take, but also going back to your club and working as hard as you can on the various different facets of your game to get the shirt back out? Obviously pretty tough mentally, but you've done really well at it, right?
Easily the toughest two seasons I've had in my career. Obviously international rugby and playing for England means the world to me. So when you get that taken away, it's horrible, really. And you live it, and it's all everyone wants to speak about. And it's like, how are you feeling? What you're all this stuff. So it was quite hard to get away from, and I probably handled it pretty badly at the start. Like I played a bit of the victim, and then you start to appreciate it more when it gets taken away from you. But there was never any doubt that I was going to respond in a way that was going to make me better. So I'm comfortably able to say I'm sat here better because that happened, and I'd probably be worse had I kept the shirt the whole time, to be honest. You need stuff like that to give you that kick up the arse. And I mean, Leicester's been a great spot, particularly with Czech there last season. I mean, he's such a good coach. Learned so much from him, and he basically just built my confidence back up because it was near zero. He was great for that. Huey, their attack coach as well. So I've just had to enjoy it when it was shit. I think that's probably the best way to put it. You've got to enjoy it when it gets shit. And it's sort of made the last season even more special, have an opportunity to wear it again and be out there with England.
Fred, you look like, as Goode said, you've really looked like you've worked hard at your game. You look like you're a bit more of a counter-attacking threat now, and you look like you're moving really well at the minute. Is that been a real area of concentration for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was never any doubt that the bit of my game that needed to improve was the attacking side. So Steve said to me, look, kick return's going to be a massive focus for us. I want you to go away and make meters every time you get the ball, beat defenders, bringing that ball back. So that's been a massive focus for me over the last sort of 2 seasons. So, been working really hard on that sort of thing. Been going hard in the gym, trying to get these tiny little wins with speed, acceleration, that sort of stuff, and trying to be a threat with the ball in hand, I suppose. It
really is showing, though, in terms of the way you're bringing the ball back, the way you're sort of moving the point of contact and not just... It's hard, isn't it, when you get pigeonholed as a certain type of player that's just, okay, that's all you can do. But it's a real conscious effort that you've made. And someone told me, Chris Boyd, who was at Saints a couple of years ago when I was there, he said, make sure you work on your strengths as well, though. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's what your super strength is, that high ball, that physicality in that sense. So it must be quite hard to have to just switch the focus completely in terms of a complete opposite side of your game.
Yeah, I probably got the balance wrong at the start because I completely neglected the high ball stuff and probably suffered for that for a bit. But you're right. It's like you've got to find a balance between remembering why you're where you are and what got you there, your point of difference, which for me is the aerial stuff, and then what can I add? And you're right, you get pigeonholed. Like I think to the day I retire, I think people all they want to talk about is the high ball and the aerial stuff, which is what it is. Like, but I certainly want to be known for something else and be slightly more rounded than that label would suggest.
But the thing is, Freddie, for me, when I watch you play, I watch this skill that you do, and me and Biggs have spoken about it. Me and Goode have spoken about it for years. I think that super skill that you have is one of the toughest skills to do in probably many sports that are out there. And I know you might get sick of talking about it because everyone's like, oh, it needs to be quicker or you need to be offloading or whatever these things are that you need to work on. Every player's got these things to work on. I want you just to tell our listeners, right, and we're all wax lyrical about Noah Kalori. You've been doing this since you were 3 years old. Like, you have been owning the skies. Talk to us about what it is like when you're going up for a ball. Just from that moment that ball's in the air, what's in your mind and the kind of skill that you need to get up there as high as you do?
Well, the first thing is picking the flight of the ball. So, like with anything, when you're back there, you're basically just trying to anticipate, right, where's this ball going to land? And from there, you've got to just time your jump. So you're hitting as you catch. You want to be at the highest point of your leap. You want to be travelling with speed because with the law change now, you get all sorts of aerial contact. So you've sort of got to be moving fast. So any sort of contact, you win that collision. And then it's just about high knees, high elbows, trying to beat the catches coming. But I've been trying really hard. I mean, less so now because it's winter and the bars are soaked, but trying to catch over my head because you see the wingers now coming in trying to tap at full extension and you can't beat them with your hands down here. So
it looks better above your head as well.
It does look better. Yeah.
Never done it, but
looks
yeah,
a lot better. It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder.
One caveat, Freddie, on that is how do you deal with the spiral bomb in that situation? So you've been with George Ford over the Autumn Nations series. He's one of the masters of the spiral bomb as well.
I mean, to get up against a spiral bomb is virtually impossible. So I think those are going to...
It's off the head.
I think I headbutted one of Prendergast on Friday night. Yeah, looked like a bit of an idiot running around like this.
But Freddie, when you catch it in the air and in that moment of inception, when you catch it, are you like, you fucker? Is there something like? How do you feel when you catch it?
When you've caught it, it's almost relief. Like you land and you're like, get in there. I've got that one. And then,
get in.
Yeah, flip the corner and shell on, and the whole team's looking at you like, what are you doing, mate? That's your job.
Just doing your job, yeah. Doing your job. Talking about another super skill, Freddie, the TikTok dance and your moves. So we need to get stuck into that. How did it come about? Was it a fine? It looked great. It's got millions of views and your social media presence has gone whoosh through the roof. That's not you, is it? Come on, let's be honest.
Mate, you know me well enough to know that is not me. I was so uncomfortable when it blew up. I was like, what are these people going to think? But it's been good feedback, mate. Maybe I should try and be a bit more like that. I'll probably leave that to the Pollocks of the world. But we were just in the room, mate, at Penny Hill. Fremo was waffling about making TikTok. We get so bored in there, mate, in the evenings.
Yeah.
Apart from playing cards, there's not that much to do and watching telly. So he was like, right, we're making this, we'll do this now. So we did it, and that was that really. It was like, it was a good bit of fun learning it, and then wasn't really ever spoken about again. This was on the Wednesday night before the New Zealand game. Didn't obviously expect it to go anywhere. Obviously play New Zealand, beat New Zealand. I think we were out on the piss afterwards, and Finn was like, came up to me like in a state of panic, and he's like, Tommy's posted a TikTok. But we were obviously at that point like, oh my God, we're going to look like knobheads that out after we've just beaten New Zealand. But it was all in good spirit. I think it went down pretty well, and it blew up. I couldn't believe how much it blew up. It was mind-blowing. Like, all the rugby and stuff people love, but the thing that blew up the most was us looking like idiots doing TikTok dances.
If you got beat by Uruguay, it'd be very different.
Well, I'm sure the second we drop into an England shirt, the four of us, that is going to be resurfaced by the fans of the opposing team. So I've got to get myself ready for that.
Just a quick question then. You said you're out on the piss. It's great to hear after beating New Zealand. Tell us about the night out.
Oh, mate, it was class. Jamie George has got some shares in a pub called The Boundary in London. So we were back to the hotel. There was a big old argument about whether the missus should be there or whether they shouldn't be there. So they were in a separate bar across the road, and we were in this pub, and it was a brilliant night, mate. We all joined together eventually. And
who went first? Who joined first? Who was right, I need to get to my wife?
I can't remember. My memory from about 10 p.m. onwards is pretty vague. There was a bus back at 3 a.m. I think it was me, Genge, Pollock, Peps, and Will Stewart with a last five.
Oh, Borthers would have been there as well. He gets pretty loose, don't he?
Yeah, no, players only, mate. Strict policy, but it was a good laugh.
How has sort of playing, rooming, sharing a training pitch with sort of Pollock been? I mean, everyone sort of wants to know what he's like and things like that, but you sort of see a very different side to him on the pitch compared to when he's in the hotel room and team room, I'd imagine. Yeah,
mate, I felt like his full-time carer. We got on quite well. We're quite different people, but I love him to bits, mate. He's hilarious. I just love his enthusiasm for absolutely everything that happens. He's a really good kid. I think there's a lot of people say there's a misconception that he's on some wind-up and he's arrogant, but he's just taking everything in his stride. And I love the way he just does it all with no fear. Like, he doesn't care about the consequences, and he doesn't care what people are going to think of him. I think that's so powerful, mate. I think there's a lot of people who are, or myself, like you put yourself out there and you're a bit concerned about what people are going to say. So, no, good for him, mate. I've loved being around him. He's a bundle of fun and energy. So yeah, it's been class.
So you may just have to tell him, Fred, that your whole career doesn't always go like that. He may have the old little speed bump in it now and again.
We do make a joke, mate. We said at some point when it does go down, they're going to be out for you, mate. But he just said, don't care.
Yeah, good on him. You've got a great group of young lads, Freddie. You look at how connected you all are, and it obviously manifests itself in the performances and stuff like that, but competition for places, but that heartbeat of English talent, it seems like a really cool spot to be in, both for club and country.
Yeah, mate, it's a great place to be. I mean, when you're winning, obviously, it's more enjoyable, but the group of lads is class. I think Argentina was a great opportunity for without the Lions, for everyone to bond, and then the Lions have come back in, and it's just increased like tenfold. These young lads, old lads, like everyone's bringing it, and it's a great place to be.
Yeah, that a boy.
You can tell how tight Freddie is because he sat indoors with his big puffer jacket on. He hasn't even got the heating on. Bless him.
I'm in JVP's house, mate. So we'll blame him.
He's on brand. Adidas, he's on brand. Freddie, great to have you, mate. Yeah, been really cool. Good luck over the next few weeks and then going into the international window as well. So,
cheers, lads. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Go well, Freddie. Top man.
Thank you.
Top lad.
Top lad.
Yeah, I'm a big Freddie Steward fan. Like I said, they've got a great bunch of lads, haven't they? It's, and it's not all glory, is it? Like we were chatting about Freddie last week or a couple of weeks ago when the Lions got announced. I had him as an outside bet. It's not all glory. And for him to actually be honest and say, I was a shit bloke. Did he say I was a shit bloke? What was the exact line
he said he didn't handle it. He played the victim a little bit, didn't he? Which is like... It's really good because it's easy just to say, oh no, I just...
Yeah, but that's what it is. Yeah, that's not me calling shit. But I remember you get dropped and you did become a shit bloke. Like that's what it is. You want to be playing. You think you're better than you are at the time, and sometimes you need a humbler. But I genuinely think he'll be better for it. But great to have him on.
Well, we're busy planning out our Six Nations, and thanks to GHA Hotels, we'll be doing a live show in February in one of London's coolest hotel venues. Tickets will be released in January, but the first 100 people who sign up to GHA this week will be added straight onto our P VIP, which is the pod's very important guest list
I get
for
it.
the
Nice.
event.
Yeah. Nice.
Nice.
See what you've done there, Goody. I like it. Get yourself signed up wherever you are in the world. It's free and it's generally class. Access to 900 of the best hotels in the world, free gold membership upgrade, and $50 free stay in any hotel for the Rugby Pod listeners. So perfect if you're travelling during the Six Nations or the Champions Cup.
Yeah, and I got an upgrade, so thank you again. Am I getting an upgrade in this next one? course
Yes,
I am.
we are, James.
I stayed in one of the hotels in Madrid as well. Very good hotel. Very
Look,
perfect
no doubt,
location.
of course you did. Yeah, look at me. And I don't want to overpromise to our listeners that they'll be getting upgrades and free hotels in Madrid. But if you want to get involved, you've got to use the link on our website, therugbypod.com, to sign up. So get on it, and we will see you in February. Maybe in the lift. Who knows? If we're at the same hotel.
Right, lads, should we have a little bit of a break from the weekend's action?
Oh, yes, please. What have you got for us, Rob?
Well, we did hot takes last week, didn't we? And I think they were a little bit too hot. So I think this week we should look at our highlights of the year.
Rob, was your highlight going to Australia for 2 days and running an Ironman, but only doing the I in the Ironman?
That was good. But I think my highlight of the year is Red Bull investing in rugby. Obviously, because they bought my
straight ruggers.
Obviously, because they
straight
bought my
ruggers.
team. But genuinely, though, how cool is it to have a brand like Red Bull? I know you'd be all over this, Jim. If they'd bought Saris, you'd have a hard on.
Oh, yeah, it'd
every
be a
week.
different matter, yeah.
You would be, Jim. You would be, Jim. You'd be all over it like a rash.
All over it. But how cool is it to have a brand like Red Bull? And I know obviously it's going to take a bit of time to get the results on the pitch right, but I do think in the coming years, they do seem to be doing it properly and building infrastructure and all that stuff. But I do think it's really cool to have them as part of the league.
I need to see it to believe it.
Why are you pessimistic about it? You said this to Dimes before he got sacked.
Okay, I did. Yeah, I did. Did I forget?
It was the last word. It was the last words that were spoken to Dimes before he was sacked.
I need to see it to believe it.
Yeah, and he's never
Follow
been
me,
seen
Jim.
since.
There you go. Follow me, Jim, and he's gone. Where's he gone to? But I'll follow you anywhere, Dimes. I look, Rob, I have to be honest. When I saw it, I was pessimistic. As I'm watching it, I'm pessimistic. And I want it to happen. I genuinely want to see something special happen at Newcastle. Okay? But I haven't seen it yet.
So, how then, Jim? If that's not a highlight of the year, what's your highlight?
Oh, on the spot.
Before you start, Jim, I wrote down something earlier when Rob sent that message in the group. I thought what your highlight would be, knowing your sort of personality and how you like to see things done and target the individuals and things like that. I'll see if it matches up afterwards.
I reckon there's two.
Go on then, lad. You guess. Individuals. What am I going to say? I don't know where I'm.
DuPont's re-signing, where it was basically like a Premier League footballer or like Ronaldo at the Bernabeu sort of thing. I thought like that would be right up your street in terms of how they did it, in terms of the big shirt and everything.
Yeah, I do like that, but not for me. Like personally, where I'm personally, I suppose, engaged and interactive. Like I saw it and thought it was cool.
Okay.
But I'm a little bit removed from the French market. Intentionally, because of Fabien Gaultier. But no, that was cool.
Go on, Goody, what do you think it was?
I've got one for you that I reckon Jim has dropped his trousers and got happy with himself. Seeing Sia get his 100th cap for the Springboks.
Yeah.
That's all it is,
No.
Jim, right?
No, that was amazing.
You're
no,
Sia.
yeah, it was, but it was always going to happen. It wasn't a case of, again, it's loose interactions with Sia. Interviewed him. We're tight. Played the day he made his debut. So basically, I'm involved.
That
in
makes you
Sia's
tight.
career.
Because you played against him, that makes you tight.
I love Sia. But no, it's none of them two lads. I would say my highlight has been international rugby as a whole. And Biggs, we went back and forth on message, Goody, we've been chatting about it. We've seen the numbers for the rugby pod when the international game's on, whether it be Six Nations, Autumn Nation Series, even the summer tests as well, apart from Scotland going to Chile. And the Lions as well, and I put that into the mix as well. But I would say international rugby and the stories around it. I use the word jeopardy. It's like a buzzword of mine at the minute. The physicality. All of these words that I like to throw out, the sensationalist words. And that's what I would say. I would say my highlight has been seeing the interest in the international game, apart from Scotland going to Chile.
Yeah, it's a good shout. I suppose mine would be that ultimate highlight would be the British and Irish Lions second test match. I don't think we've probably seen a better test match or a better game all of 2025. And there's been some belting games, but the jeopardy, Jim mentions jeopardy a lot. The jeopardy on that game of how it swung from one way to the next, and then Hugo Keenan getting the try to win it, to win the test series with some footwork and an outside break, and then it being checked for the blitz in the head that wasn't a blitz in the head. It was like an Aussie just diving on the floor. For me, that was the highlight. I'm watching that 2025, and Biggs, you were there commentating that game, at the MCG, seeing how it all unfolded, seeing how the lads came out of the stadium from beneath the pitch and the scenes, the 100,000 people in the stadium. It was just wicked. That was my highlight.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Something
that was cool.
that you look back on, I reckon, that was wicked for the year.
Yeah, I think I have to agree. It was between that was special. I mean, to be there, to be calling it, to have been there for the whole trip was, I have to say that was, and it sort of just finished in such a perfect way, didn't it? In terms of drama, TMO, sort of, getting the job done in the last play. It was just, it was a real special moment, wasn't it? I have to say, and I know you'll probably enjoy this one as well, Jim, but like, a moment which made me sort of like really, really stand up and think this is a huge result for everything in rugby was that 43 when the Springboks put 43-10 was it against the All Blacks in Wellington. I felt like that was like a real shifting of the guard in terms of, taking that mantle off the All Blacks in terms of they're now the real number one team, weren't they, in terms of that day in Wellington. Felt like a big shift to me in terms of international rugby, and the Springboks sort of asserting themselves as well and sent shockwaves around the world a little bit, didn't it, that result? Here's a quick one. And who's had the best year from an international point of view?
Argentina.
Better than England? You think Argentina had a better year than England?
It's a good point, but if you go based on, how did England do in the Six Nations?
Second.
Not good enough.
Maybe we won 4 out of 5 games, James.
Yeah, that's true. Well, England, okay, I'm not disagreeing with Rob, even though I questioned it there. But for Argentina, the way in which they've played the game and everything that goes into that melting pot of making the team that they are, and it's very chaotic, it's very Latino, there's always a little bit of drama. When I think of a team, not that you asked the question, who's surprised you or shocked you? I think you did say surprised. I would say Argentina. Like for me, England should be where they are with everything that they've got going for them.
I think like when I said like who out of 2025, who will be most satisfied with their year? I personally think England will be, because you look at where they were 12 months ago. Basically, people calling for Steve Borthwick's head. The team losing games in the last 20 minutes. Not playing particularly attractive rugby. They've managed to go on an 11-game winning streak. They've managed to find a real mixture and balance between youth and experience. They've made the public fall in love with them a little bit again in terms of they've had different ways they can play. They've introduced Pollock to international rugby, Mitchell, Finn Smith, Freeman, all these guys they've blooded almost like a new generation of players, and they're in a really good position off the back of the World Cup draw. I think it's hard pushed to say that any international team, and I include South Africa in this, to have had a better 2025 than England.
Well, Biggs, we saw some green shoots already, but we have something big to announce for Welsh fans for the Six Nations, don't we?
We do indeed, Jim. We're buzzing to announce that we're teaming up with Vodafone, the nation's network and proud partner of Welsh Rugby, to bring fans closer to the game this Six Nations. We'll be doing our biggest Rugby Pod live show yet in Cardiff with some Welsh legends, past and present, some YouTube live Q&As for our Welsh fans, and we also have 96 Nations match tickets to give away on the pod for Wales versus Scotland, men's and women's. And I'm going to take some fans behind the scenes at Principality Stadium with me for a private tour.
Ooh. Well, this one is for the fans. Right. Tell the listeners what they need to do to get involved, Biggs.
Okay, so to get involved, we want Welsh fans to send us in your inspiring stories. Who deserves the match tickets? So fans who've done something special, who've overcome challenges, or have given back to the community. You'll also be able to register at ticketpass.org to get free tickets to the Cardiff live event very soon. So stay tuned for that. And also a massive thanks to Vodafone for helping us bring fans closer to the game.
Right then, before we get back into the rest of the Champions Cup games, any other news?
In other news! Come on, lads, hit me.
Big news today. Jack Morgan, Derry Lake, Gloucester. Both of them signed.
Something else Jim said wouldn't happen.
What do you mean?
You said I can't see it happening.
No, I said it is. Hang on, Rob. I said it's happening in rumours.
Oh, right,
and I
okay.
said I don't think it should happen because I think Gloucester is the wrong club for Jack Morgan. You absolute liar.
You said you wanted him to go to Sarries.
Yeah, but no, I want him to go to Sarries, but he's going to Gloucester. That was the
He's there
rumour.
now anyway. He's there. He's signed. Contract signed.
But yes, it's been confirmed in other news that not just Jack Morgan, when we mentioned him last week, Biggs, Dowie Lake got thrown into the mix as well. 2 unbelievable signings for Gloucester. Obviously want to stay close to Wales, but I do believe it's the wrong club for Jack Morgan. That's just my opinion. Biggs, what do you think? He is captain of your country. Do you think that's the right club for him?
I think he could have had his pick within reason, probably barring your Toulouse because they got Jack Willis and, those type of clubs. I think he could have probably picked a team who are going to be more likely to be challenged right at the top of the honours. I think it's a good club from him for the way that they play and being close to Wales. But from really challenging himself, he probably could have had his pick of clubs, couldn't he?
So why has he gone there?
So he's probably gone there because he's had a good offer, and he is a very much a home boy, Jack. So he's from sort of West Wales, and he is very much a home boy. So it still allows him the opportunity to get back to West Wales in less than a couple of hours. He'll know a couple of the players there. I know Thomas Williams is rumoured to be leaving, but Dowie Lake going there as well. I just felt like, it probably feels like a halfway house move for Jack in a sense, in terms of it's a step up, clearly. The uncertainty of his future in Wales. He's had a good offer financially, playing in a brilliant league in the Prem. And it probably ticks a few boxes from staying close to family at home as well.
The negative thing on this, and I have to say it because it's our podcast and I'm thinking it, whether or not people agree with it or not, I don't see it as a big step for Jack Morgan to be like, right, I'm going to a club team. I want to win the Prem. I want to win the Champions Cup. It's a comfortable move. And I don't think that that's a reflection on Jack Morgan. That's a reflection of where the game is at the minute. And it feels like a harsh thing to say.
But as well, Jim, he's massively proud to be Welsh captain and play for Wales, right?
100%.
So I agreed with you. So if he goes to say, let's just say, I don't know, maybe Bordeaux's not a great example because they just signed Tom Willis. But let's just say a Bordeaux who are probably as likely to win things as Toulouse at the minute, right? He's going to have to be flying back and forth in a long season in France. And he probably, at the minute, doesn't want to be doing that in terms of back and forth. And he still wants to be given the best opportunity for Wales as possible. Bath's probably not an option with the salary cap and the players they've got. Bristol, who knows? Bristol could have been a better shout. But how many clubs realistically are out there at the minute where he can go and win things and not have to be travelling back and forth all the time in a long season? Because you look at the Prem at the minute, Bath should win the Prem for the next couple of years with the squad depth they've got, the finances they've got behind them, the experience they've got, etc.
Oh, Northampton.
Yeah, but Northampton finished 8th last year, Goode, as well. So you think, the squad that Bath have got, who they can field all the time, I just think that it's very difficult to see anybody other than Bath, or Bath would be clear favourites, wouldn't they, to win the Prem?
But with Jack Morgan, that's the overarching thing, though. The game isn't made up at the minute for the best players to move around to be able to operate and do it on both fronts.
Yeah, agreed.
You know what I mean? And that's where the conversation then goes. The international carrot and the incentive is so big now for the players, even if you Wales, with all due respect, are not winning as much now. Jack Morgan's thinking Wales. He's not thinking, right, I want to go and win the Prem or I want to go and win the Champions Cup. And it's that moment in time of where we are at the minute. But anyway, that was some good news for Gloucester. From a Gloucester perspective, I still like Gloucester very much. What else have we got, Rob?
Sasha Feinberg and Gomzulu crowned world's best player in the Rugby Pass Top 100 players. They absolutely love this. Have you seen the comments on this? People get so angry about it.
So he's been crowned the world's best in the top 100 players this year. So he's number one. He's the best player. Is what? Who's saying? Do we know who voted?
Yeah. So all the journalists on Rugby Pass, they all contribute, and they basically, I presume they've got a big, massive table, and they put them in order of who they think's best.
I said Malcolm Marks, lads. Best player in the world. He's been nominated as the World Player of the Year, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, that again, I don't know who's sat around the table. Not me. Not me. Undeniable how good he is, though. If there's any question marks, not that there is, he's now done it on the world stage and showed up.
Do you know, he was saying, Rob, you put a question in the group, didn't you, about where our teams, can you find a weakness in his game? And I think his overall game, you can't, because he is absolutely on fire. Brilliant footwork, brilliant pace, power, ability to break a game up, ability to control a game, his kicking game. The one thing which could be interesting moving forward is his kicking percentage for the Springboks this year is about 70% off the tee.
That's good, Biggs.
Goody, you were pretty handy when that ball was on the tee. Fair play to you. I think you'd have been disappointed at 70% over the course of what do they play? 14 tests or whatever. I think that's the one thing. The only thing you could say in his game, if you're looking at sort of objectively, where can he improve? Because there's very few areas he can improve in his general game. But you look at how South Africa won the last World Cup by a point in the quarters, a point in the semis, a point in the final. You probably need that stat to be pushing 80% rather than 70%.
What else have we got in other news? Our sister pod, the Rugby Rodeo, Ellie Kildun, has been nominated for Sports Personality of the Year. So when's that get announced, Rob? You'll know, you're across our sisters.
19th of December it's on.
Oh, okay. All right. So Friday, the Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua fight, same day.
Good knowledge.
It's all happening. Great knowledge. I just know it's on. I've earmarked that as well. So big shout out to Ellie Kildun. She was standout for the Red Roses, but across all the women's teams as well. She's a great, incredible athlete. I had her on my show back in the day, and we wish her well. Do we vote for that, Rob? You'll be all over the voting when you vote.
Yeah, we can all vote for it, James.
Okay, I'm going to give her a vote.
Your friend Ebenezer Beth coming out and defending his gouge, or not necessarily defending it, but giving his reasons for and an explanation of. What did you make of his social media post, James?
The same person who does Rassie's clips has clipped his up as the same person.
Yeah, he ain't done that himself, has he?
No, I think with Eben, and again, I don't know this, and I did see it, that you can't justify what he's done, and he's trying to. It's an apology, effectively, isn't it? It's I shouldn't have done it, which he says. I don't think the need for justification. He feels, going based on the post, that he was aggravated and wound up to that point, and it's as simple as that. I don't really know what to say. He said it wasn't intentional and all of these things, but yeah, I don't know. In these moments, is it best to say nothing at all? But with the South African following and the interest in their athletes, and also just how big he is as a player in South Africa, but globally, maybe he felt like he needed to say something. I don't think it made things worse, though.
Here's one for you. Just as we were talking about England and the stability and how well we've been going, it seems like there's some rumblings about changes in the coaching setup.
What do you know, Rob?
Well, I read today that apparently Joel Abt's been putting his CV around French clubs.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I love the tumbleweeds on this as well. I did see the article on Rugby Pass. They dangled the carrot, didn't they? Because they had Steve Borthwick, Richard Wigglesworth and Joel Ab in shot. And it's like, which one is... I'm going to click through. And I clicked through. And I knew which one it was before, because I knew that Wiggy wouldn't be leaving England to go to France, and Steve, hey, fucking leaving. So, yeah, Joel Abd. And it's been... Yeah, I'd say it's been a rocky and hard few months for him. The fact that he was dual coaching with Oyonnax, wasn't it, Goody?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, Oyonnax in England, and then they brought in Byron McGuigan, and performances improved, and he did really well on the tour. I don't know the dynamics of the coaching team in England, but yeah, if you go based on the article that we saw, that Joel Ab's going back to France, and I don't think anyone would be looking or thinking, oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, on that, I agree with you, Jim. Like, he wouldn't be a main coach now, and he was brought in, I said at the time, he was brought in because he was Steve's best man, and Steve needed someone at the time to join the coaching team. He took the defence gig. Our defence was shocking under him. Obviously, Byron McGuigan came in, as Jim said, over the summer, and it was, a good move. Byron McGuigan's going full time, I believe, at the end of the season, and he's been kind of moved around, and that's what happens, right? If there's another opportunity for him in a full time gig that he's happy with, let him go, and wish him all the best as well, because that's the coaching life, isn't it? None of us are in coaching for that reason. Zero stability, probably. And when, apart from Biggs, I don't think me and Jim would be be very good at it.
On coaches and movement, Marco Bortolami, who was brought in as head coach of Sale, he's been let go before the game, before they win at the weekend.
Wow, I did not see that. Why? What's happened, Jim?
Yeah, I don't I don't know what's happened. They haven't been as good, have they? But yeah, no real details come out. Your mates with Simon Orange. Give him a call and
I'll ask him. Well, I was there on Friday and he didn't say anything. I'll ask him. He's my mate, so.
Yeah. So he's gone, and it feels like it was out the back door. Not a lot's been said. Maybe Rob, you can double check that I've not dreamt this up or whatever.
No,
but
it's
I'm
definitely
sure.
happening. Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely happening.
Yeah.
Is it happening or has it happened?
Happened.
It happened.
Yeah, I
saw
have to
it,
say,
yeah.
Goody, I missed it. I missed that as well.
There you go. There you go. I just love my ruggers that much, and I'm there for all the sensationalist stories. You know, any stats, data, and anything worthy of knowledge. I'm not.
Something else we missed last week was international rugby back on free-to-air TV.
Yeah, that's big news.
Allegedly, Rob? Or
No, it's definitely happening.
Big nose.
Definitely
It's
happening.
definitely. Hang on, Rob. I don't know. You keep saying it's definitely happening. Like, is this rumours definitely happening because you've seen it as a rumour, or is it been? It's been confirmed, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's been confirmed. Unless why? What are you? How many millions are TNT paying you, Biggs?
No. I just wasn't sure if it was confirmed, announced, shall we say?
Biggs knows because he going based on the Fozcast. He's already there in contract negotiation personally.
In his Marks and Spencer's polo.
Yeah, exactly. In the polo shirt. The agent's like, no, he's dealing with it himself. He is well across it.
Any other games you want to discuss, lads, before we move on?
I was at Toulon yesterday, and it was a proper game of rugby. It was like, you've seen some of the scores on the weekend and some of the mismatches and things, but like there was a few matches throughout the weekend which were like proper games of rugby, and that was one yesterday at the Mayall. I thought Toulon obviously were about as bad as they could have been the week before in the pouring down rain in the Hive Stadium up in Edinburgh, Jim. Not an easy place to go and play.
No.
But the home form is exceptional. I don't think they've lost. It's a ridiculous stat. It's coming up to nearly 2 years now. So it's a proper fortress in terms of their. I know Toulouse won in the quarterfinal last year, but in terms of group stages and top 14 games, and it was a proper game. Again, it was a sort of everything on it for Toulon. Toulon lose that game, probably unlikely to progress in the tournament. And I just felt it was like, stacked full of internationals. Finn Russell was in town. He was getting a bit of stick off the Frenchies and things and giving it a bit back. And just thought it was a proper game of rugby. You know what I mean? Like back and forth, the lead. I always think if the lead changes hands a few times in a game, tends to tell you it's a pretty good game of rugby and it's competitive and bits and pieces like that. And some top world-class players on display. And Bath will be pleased, I think, to have picked up a point off the back of taking 5 points against Munster the week before, but disappointed that they had 2 points in the bag up until the last play of the game where Toulon drove over in the far corner. I felt like they were a different team without Ben Spencer there. I really did. I think there's a big drop off between Ben Spencer and the other boys, and I just felt like they just looked a little bit. They were either brilliant or they were pretty average and things. And I think Ben Spencer keeps them at that pretty solid level throughout 80 minutes.
With Toulon, Biggs, do they want it this year? Is it a competition that they want to do something in? What's their mindset now around the ownership and the coaches and all of that?
Absolutely, Jim. They're desperate to succeed because of the history in this competition, and it's always everything when you're in that building, when you talk to the coaches, when you talk to the supporters, and everything is always referenced to that that mega team that they had, the 13, 14, 15 team. And I think everybody is hoping that a group of players can recreate that and bring those brilliant times back. Now, I think it's really tough for Toulon because you're playing in a league at the minute where probably Toulouse and Bordeaux are probably a little bit above them at the minute in terms of the top sort of 5-10%. But I think their mindset is very much, and that's why you could see the team that they put out yesterday. It was as stacked as they could because they want to stay alive in this competition. They want to make sure that they progress and give themselves a chance. And I thought, one person to reference yesterday, I thought, and maybe it's quite topical with obviously the Will Stewart being injured. I know Kyle Sinclair can't play for England under the laws at the minute, but I thought he was brilliant yesterday.
Yeah, he's been carving up.
80 minutes at tight head, scrum penalties, aggressive in the tackle, mauls, carries, and absolutely, and potentially out of contract by the time the World Cup comes around in 2 years' time. Just a brilliant bloke, brilliant player, and is starting to really put some performances together after a couple of injuries.
Yeah, that's why I asked about Toulon, because I look at their team. They've got Lewis Ludlam in the team as well.
He was awesome yesterday as well.
Yeah,
Big
Dave
performance.
Ribbons, Zach Mercer. They've got a couple of Italians in the team as well. And as we know, integrating into a French team is difficult, but them lads are playing well there. Dave Ribbons, especially Ben White, who's on the bench. There's something right there for expats or non-French players that make them do well. They're set up to do well there.
I think as well, like someone like you mentioned, Lewis Ludlam, Jim, who probably in the first season, it was a little bit like, getting to know those players. And in terms of like Luds is the type of player who just wants to, he's better if he's playing 80 minutes every week in the tussle, in the fight, coming off battered and bruised type of thing. He's better for that. And I think the start of the year last year, it was a bit like, we want you to play 60 here, then 20 here, then have a week off, then go 80 the next, you know what I mean? Trying to find out a little bit about those boys. And I think it's sort of just finding a little bit more of a rhythm and an understanding. And obviously in Europe, there's no GIF rule as well. So you can chuck all the non-French boys in and play together. But no, I thought it was a proper game of rugby yesterday. Really enjoyed the game, actually.
The other thing on it, Biggs, Matteo Garcia at 10.
Was excellent.
How good was he? Mate, goal kicking, ridiculous. Scores 20 points, I think it was in the end.
After they've just announced Albano's coming in as well in I think it's end of the month or start of January. So, there would have been a bit of pressure on him. Paolo Garbisi had a tough evening in Edinburgh last Sunday. Lost the kicking game in terms of the territory and kicking battle. But he came in and really delivered a strong performance. Kept the scoreboard ticking over, looked assertive, looked strong. And you know what it's like as well. Like you want your 10 to give your team confidence. And I think he did that yesterday, didn't he?
All I'm saying is Brian in the second row, I'm looking here.
Alan Owisi, say it.
I played against him 10 years ago, so I call him Brian. That's simple as that.
Yeah.
He is 49. I'm telling you now.
All the boys at the club are like, this guy's the GOAT because he's done like 8 years here, and you know what it's like, the madness of French rugby, the madness of Toulon sort of thing, and he's just like this the whole time.
Not flinched.
Seen it all.
He's like, I am 49, I'm fucking keeping a low profile.
All the boys are just like, this guy's an absolute GOAT when the place is burning down around him and things like that. But brilliant bloke.
Well, lads, that's the end of the Champions Cup roundup. And on Premier Sports, you can also watch the URC, and there's some unbelievable derby matches coming up over the next few weeks. Glasgow against Edinburgh, Leinster against Ulster, Sharks against the Bulls, and Scarlets against Cardiff. Watch them all on Premier Sports. Some absolute belters there, lads.
Love a derby. Love a derby. Anyway, let's finish things off with the good, the bad and the ugly.
Sponsored.
James, I still haven't got it. Still haven't had it. People are asking me, how have I not got the Maul and Goo?
Well, it's on the way, is all I'm saying. We have been packaging through the night to get these orders sent out. And we can do it. We've got enough people on the ground, enough boots on the ground. So maulandbrawl.com, get your orders in, shampoo, and shower gel, dark Indian tobacco. Last order's going out Thursday, Friday.
Right, let's start off with the Goode. Northampton Saints, Leinster, Bordeaux, Bristol, and the Stormers, all from two in the Champions Cup. Sale Sharks get a shout in the Goode. Mega away win at Claremont. Claremont's biggest ever home defeat. So well done to the Sale Sharks boys. Ben Bamba was ridiculous. Sticking with the Sharks from Durban, my old club, beat Saracens. They get a shout out because they've been so bad. JP Peterson has taken over as head coach, and he is one game, one victory. So well done to the Sharks boys. We mentioned it before, Toulon and Matteo Garcia, their fly half getting 20 points. That was a big, big victory for those boys down at the Stade Félix Mayol. Here's a strange one for you. Bayonne, not for the rugby, they get a shout out in the Goode. Their fans, they are getting hosed by 60 odd points. The fans walk out the stands, and I'm thinking they're gone. The fans are gone. They're not happy. Oh no, they are happy. They start doing the conga around the stoop, and all the Quins fans are cheering them. So they weren't even watching the rugby. They just wanted to get on the beers and do the conga
banter
around the stoop. So I thought it was quite good, actually. So well done to the Bayonne fans. Gloucester get a shout in the Goode this week. Again, not for their rugby. They got hosed by Munster, but for signing Jack Morgan and Dowie Lake. So good signings for those boys.
Big fan of Dowie Lake. I never said that earlier. I'm a big fan of Dowie Lake as well. So we got kind of lost in the weeds of it.
Sings the anthem well, doesn't he?
You can put his head in the spokes as well. I like the look of him. I like how he does it.
Yeah, so big signings for Gloucester. The Smiths get a shout out in the Goode this week. Finn and Marcus Smith, both of them Smiths. They got man of the match for their respective teams. Marcus for Quins and Finn Smith for Northampton. But the Goode this week is going back up to Scotland, James, and the mighty, mighty Glasgow Warriors second half.
Yeah, right.
Statement win over Toulouse. They are 2 from 2, a 21-point comeback, the 4th biggest ever comeback in the Champions Cup. So a massive shout out to Franco Smith and Gregor Brown and Sione Muktu-Pelotu and all the Glasgow boys. Jack Dempsey, they were all massive, weren't they, in that second half? And that's why Glasgow Warriors, they win the Goode this week, James.
Here.
The bad, a few bits of bad. Bayonne sending the kids and taking 68 points. Claremont, they get a mention in the bad for their biggest ever home defeat. Edinburgh, James, heroes last week, and they get nilled this week. Shocker at Cast.
Here.
No cop. Here. The Scarlets and Bulls also get a mention in the bad for taking 50 points. Pooh get a mention in the bad. They took 62. But the bad this week is going to go to our old mate, Jim. Cockers. He's just got the sack from Georgia.
He hasn't. I missed it.
And the Black Lion. No, he got sacked today.
Hello.
Not hello. Goodbye.
Not hello. He come home.
Yeah, he's just
Poor
got sacked
Cockers.
by the Black Lion. So Georgia, they've changed their president. Cockers has been sacked from Georgia Rugby and the Black Lion. They got hosed by Connacht in the Challenge Cup, and then next thing you know, he's gone.
MLR, mate. MLR.
Yeah,
that's right.
So the bad goes to Georgia Rugby and Richard Cockerell for parting of ways, and then the ugly. Do you know what? Here's a stat for you, lads. No red cards this weekend in the Champions Cup or the Challenge Cup.
Why?
Well, because everyone were good boys. Everyone was behaving, but there is one bit of ugly. The ugly this week goes to Jamal Ford-Robinson. That's the only bit of ugliness that I could find. His clear out, shoulder to the head of Jack Crowley. You don't do that to Jack Crowley in Munster. I was shocked it wasn't a red. So Jamal Ford-Robinson, he gets the ugly this week.
Right, lads, shout outs to finish.
Yeah, we got a few shout outs. Thank you again, as always. This one's a shout out to everyone involved in the first ever Matt Gallagher Cup this Saturday, 20th of December. It's at the mighty Coventry, and they are hosting Nottingham at the Butts Arena. The game supports the Matt Gallagher Foundation, honouring Matt, who played for both clubs and was diagnosed with MND in 2023. And it's raising vital awareness for the MND community. So get yourself involved if you can, and go well to everyone involved.
Yeah, we got a shout out to Ryan Butler, who reached 50 first 15 appearances for Donady Rugby Club and finally scored his first try in over 3 years of senior rugby.
Yeah, good stuff. Finally, a big shout out to the lady in red from her boyfriend. Wishing you a speedy recovery after surgery. You'll know who you are after Jim serenaded you onto the stage at the live show. Everyone at the pod is sending their best wishes while you rest up, and hopefully see you at a live show in the new year, pal.
Final shout out to the Dings Crusaders under-16s, who by beating touring side Llandovery College have started their last season of junior rugby with 11 wins out of 11. So good luck for the rest of the season, lads.
Well, that's it now for Christmas, but do keep your ears peeled for Jim's Scotland special coming out this Thursday. But as for the Rugby Pod regular live shows and podcasts, we'll be back in January on the 6th of Jan for the first podcast, and then live shows coming up after that, lads.
Right, that a boy. That a boy. Thanks to everyone. Merry Christmas. Ho, 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 and all that palaver. I'm actually looking forward to Christmas this year. That's me. No, I'm not. One more podcast to do, and then that's me.
One more.
Yeah, I'm coming back. I'm coming back with one more. One more only. One night only.
Merry Christmas, boys.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Have a
Merry
good
Christmas to all the listeners as well. You filthy animals. Rugby Spod.
Spotted pod.